You've heard this one 100 times before, that Jupiter is a failed star, a planet that almost became a sun and never quite made the cut. And there's one real fact buried underneath that whole story: Jupiter really does glow with its own heat. It radiates about 1.5 times more energy than it ever receives from the sun. So the legend feels true. A warm giant, a near miss, a star that fell just short. Except that isn't what's happening here at all. And the reason it isn't is stranger than the myth itself. Because somewhere out there is a real star that is smaller than Jupiter. It shines, and it fuses hydrogen in its core exactly the way the sun does. And it is smaller than the very planet we keep calling a failure. To understand how that's even possible, we have to take the failed star idea apart one piece at a time, and it all starts with that heat. So where does Jupiter's heat actually come from? This is where the whole story was born. Back in the late 1970s, astronomers confirmed that Jupiter pours far more heat into space than sunlight alone could ever explain. The Voyager probes later measured it directly. Jupiter absorbs a certain amount of sunlight and then radiates noticeably more than that back out. If a planet is quietly glowing with leftover heat, the leap feels almost natural. Maybe it once burned, and maybe it's the dying ember of a star that never fully lit. But that leap turns out to be wrong, and here is the single fact that breaks it. Jupiter isn't burning anything at all, it's falling. The entire planet is very slowly collapsing under its own weight, shrinking by about 2 centimeters every year. And when something this massive contracts, the squeeze itself releases an enormous amount of heat. Physicists have a name for this: the Kelvin-Helmholtz mechanism. There's no fusion and no ignition, just gravity wringing warmth out of a slow, endless fall inward. So the heat itself is completely real, but the failed star reason behind it simply is not. And there's a second fact that kills the idea off completely. Look just one planet further out, at Saturn. Saturn has only about 1/3 of Jupiter's mass. And yet, measured against the sunlight it actually receives, Saturn glows even more brightly than Jupiter does. Just sit with that for a single second. If this heat were leftover star fire, then the bigger body should always win, because more mass means more leftover heat, and that is the entire logic of the myth. But here, the smaller planet outglows the larger one. Relative to its own size, Saturn actually runs hotter, which means this cannot be the dying warmth of a failed sun. It has to be something else entirely. And it is. On Saturn, colder and far from the sun, helium deep inside the planet condenses into droplets and rains down toward the core. Helium is heavier than hydrogen, so as it sinks, it releases gravitational energy as heat. So the colder planet has a second engine that the warmer one barely uses. 2 planets, 2 different ways of making their own heat, and neither one of them is a fire. Jupiter, it turns out, is an extremely normal planet, which leaves us with the real question. If heat isn't the line between a planet and a star, then what on earth is? Here's the answer, and it's the key to everything that follows. A star is not defined by its size at all, it's defined by its mass. Specifically, whether there is enough mass crushing the core to force hydrogen atoms to fuse together. Atoms naturally repel one another, so to force them to merge, you need staggering pressure and heat at the center, around 10 million degrees. And the only thing that can deliver that is the weight of the object pressing down on itself. So there is a hard threshold here, a minimum mass below which a core can never get hot enough to ignite, and astronomers have measured exactly where that line sits. To fuse hydrogen the way the sun does, an object needs about 80 times the mass of Jupiter. Jupiter has the mass of exactly 1 Jupiter. It isn't close, and it isn't even close to the next category down, because there's a halfway step between planet and star. These in-between objects are called brown dwarfs. And if anything in the universe deserves the name failed star, it is these. A brown dwarf forms just like a star, collapsing straight out of a cloud of gas, but it never gathers enough mass to fuse hydrogen. It's left stuck somewhere in between the two, but it can do one thing that Jupiter simply cannot: past about 13 times Jupiter's mass, the core gets just hot enough to fuse deuterium, a heavier form of hydrogen that ignites more easily. Push past 65 Jupiter masses, and it can even begin to burn lithium. So the whole ladder looks like this: 13 Jupiters just to flicker as a brown dwarf, and 80 to become a true star. And Jupiter doesn't even clear that first rung. It would need to become 13 times heavier just to barely qualify as a failed star. It never attempted fusion, and then stopped it was never even in the running. Calling Jupiter a failed star is like calling a stone a failed mountain, which brings us to the strangest object in this whole story. Remember that promise from the very start? A real star, smaller than Jupiter, that somehow still shines. Well, it exists, and its name is CD571311. In 2017, a team at the University of Cambridge, led by Alexander von Boetica, found it about 600 light-years away, in the southern constellation Pictor. They were hunting for planets, and instead they found the smallest star ever measured. And here is the part that completely breaks your intuition. This star is roughly the size of Saturn, which makes it smaller than Jupiter. You could set it beside our gas giant, and Jupiter would be the bigger of the two, and yet, against all of that, it burns. Real hydrogen fusion is happening in its core right now, a genuine star you could hide behind a planet. So, how does something that's small do what Jupiter cannot? The answer is a single number: mass. That tiny star carries about 85 times the mass of Jupiter, all packed into a Saturn-sized body. It sits right at the very edge, the absolute minimum mass a star can have and still ignite. A hair lighter, and it would have ended up a brown dwarf instead. But squeeze 85 Jupiters into a ball the size of Saturn, and something extraordinary happens to its density. Think for a moment about how tightly that mass is crushed. Its density comes out to roughly 188 grams per cubic centimeter. Let me put that number into some scale. Earth is the densest planet in our entire solar system, at about 5.5 grams per cubic centimeter. Jupiter is a puffy 1.3, while this star sits near 188. And that right there is the whole secret. It isn't size, and it isn't heat, it's sheer crushing density. Mass folded in on itself until the core finally catches fire. The gravity at its surface is around 300 times stronger than Earth's. So Jupiter was never almost a star. It is missing the one thing that actually matters, by a factor of 80, which naturally raises one very tempting question. What would it actually take to change that? There is only one place Jupiter ever truly became a star, and that is in fiction. In 1982, Arthur C. Clarke wrote the novel 2010, Odyssey 2. In it, an alien intelligence multiplies across Jupiter and compresses the planet until it finally ignites. Jupiter becomes a small second sun, and in the story they name it Lucifer. And there's that famous warning left behind for humanity. All these worlds are yours, except Europa, a new star, and a whole new set of warm, living worlds around it. It's beautiful science fiction, and it's honest about one crucial thing: it takes a literal miracle to actually do it. In reality, there is simply no way to make Jupiter 80 times heavier, because there isn't that much spare material anywhere near it. But just suppose for a moment that you could. Suppose, purely as a thought experiment, that Jupiter ignited tomorrow. What would we actually see from here on Earth? Run the numbers and the picture is gentler than you would think, and far, far stranger. First of all, it wouldn't balloon in size. Crushed that tightly, the new star would be only modestly wider than Jupiter is now, shining as a deep red dwarf, hundreds of times fainter than our Sun. So our daytime sky would barely change at all. The Sun would still completely rule the day, and the extra warmth from a Jupiter star would be almost too small to measure. The real change would come at night. That red point in our sky would blaze far brighter than the full moon, by some estimates dozens of times brighter. For long stretches of the year, true darkness would simply come to an end. Just try to imagine that for a moment. Nights with no real darkness, stars washed out for months at a time. Creatures that hunt by darkness or migrate by the stars would suddenly be lost. And the deepest change of all would be in the balance of things. Jupiter's gravity quietly shapes the asteroid belt today, carving it, herding it, and keeping its rhythm. Multiply that gravity many times over, and that careful balance simply scatters. But notice what this picture really is. It isn't a disaster waiting to happen, it's a reminder of how finely our solar system is already tuned, exactly as it is. So, after all of that, is Jupiter a failed star? No. And not in the way most people think. It didn't try and fail. It was never even on that path. The heat that first started the rumor is just a giant slowly falling inward, keeping itself warm. The real dividing line was never about size. It was about mass and the crushing density that mass brings. And the proof is a star you could hide behind Saturn, burning quietly 600 light-years away. Jupiter isn't a failure of any kind, it's something far rarer. It's a planet so large it makes its own warmth. So perfectly placed it helps hold the whole solar system in balance. And so far from being a star that calling it one completely misses how remarkable it actually is. And honestly, all the better for us. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.